Hey guys, how's it going? DUJ2 here, and welcome back to another DUJ2 Talks. I haven't had one of these in a while, and I wanted to make this one about... Actually, I don't know if this is going to be a Let's Talk or a DUJ2 Talks. It could be either one. But I want to talk about Union Cross. I want to talk about multiplayer, because we confuse... I confuse many times when I say Union Cross... And actually, Union Cross is a feature within the game. Union Cross is the multiplayer feature. And that's very confusing to me. I don't understand why they did it that way. Maybe it's something that, you know, that's how they... maybe that's how they wanted to incorporate things into this game. Adding multiple different features within the game to be able to, you know, to progress it like that. But anyway, I want to talk about multiplayer. If I say Union Cross, please understand I also might mean multiplayer or Union Cross at the same time. And while I'm doing this, I'm also going to be doing multiplayer with my party members, or Union Cross, because it is the very last day of the month. And in about 2.5 hours, we'll be done. I think I need about 46,000 coins. I'm about 8,000 coins away, so hopefully I can get them before it ends. But I want to talk about Union Cross, and these are my views and my opinions about the game, about the update, I guess, and how I feel that it was carried out, and how I feel about it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is what we were expecting when we first heard about Union Cross. So I believe JP got Union Cross almost a month before we did, and it was announced to them that they were going to be getting it. But if you guys remember, back in September, was it, of last year? It was September of last year. Before we knew it was going to be called Union Cross, we had an update in the notices that said that multiplayer was going to be coming to the game. When we first heard that, a lot of us were very incredulous, because I think the biggest problem we had with that, or like me personally, the biggest problem that I had with that was, and I know a lot of us, you know, contributed to this, this emotion or this feeling, and it was, how are you going to make a multiplayer turned-based game? And that was something we asked, and we asked ourselves that multiple times. We were like, how do you do that? I mean, not only is real-time multiplayer incredibly difficult to pull off in mobile gaming, but real-time strategy turn-based is just, it was unheard of. I mean, when they first told us, well, when we first heard that it was going to be coming out that way, I was just like, I really wanted to see how they were going to pull it off. And now we have it. And how do I feel about it? I feel that they accomplished what they set out to do. They were able to create a multiplayer feature within our game. But it's a very limited multiplayer feature. It's a multiplayer feature that is very restricted because of the own restrictions of the game. And by this I mean, if we had in this game a built-in chat system, like voice chat system, I think it would be very different. I think this would be very different. You would be able to strategize. For example, right now, as you watch me do this, I'm watching over here in my chat, and you know, someone who is not in my party, but you know, was in another group, they said they spent most of that game was spent healing, and she's in a whole different party. But you know what? That makes sense. It makes sense because this is very much a party system. Like if you've ever played, you know, the old Final Fantasy games, or a lot of turn-based, you know, role-playing games like that. It's very much a sense of, I mean, even the new MMOs, you know, the big ones. It's very much a sense of everyone who goes into the game has their own set of responsibilities in the game. For example, if you're going to be a healer, in this game, that is possible now because of the introduction of traits. And I feel that that is where we are missing a lot of content in the game. If you look at multiplayer as a possible epic journey, it has great potential, but the game itself doesn't lend itself to that. And I'll get more into that in the future. The next thing I want to talk about is, so the first thing we talked about was what we were expecting. And what we were expecting was, honestly, I don't know what we were expecting. We had, personally for me, I had no clue. I had no idea what they were going to do or how they were going to do it. But I think that they did very well in that sense. Very little lag for a lot of people. Some people still have that problem, you know, of course. The manner of healing yourself works pretty well. The manner of, you know, or healing others. It's a pretty good system in that sense. And I have to say I am very pleased with seeing how they pulled that off. So yeah, that's about what we were expecting. The second question the second topic I want to tackle is, was it rushed? Do I feel that this update was rushed? No, I don't, because I think that they had a lot of time. They had almost an entire year to work on it. And even, you know, the biggest drawback to this, to multiplayer, would have been that it didn't work. You know, of course, there are, like I said, there's a lot of people who have problems. There's people who, you know, disconnections. There's glitches. There's everything. I mean, that's granted that's going to happen in a game of this massive size with this big of a player base. But all in all, I don't think it was rushed. But I do think that the presentation of multiplayer was incorrectly delivered to the global and North America audience. By this I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible to not look at the Japanese version, at JP version. It's impossible not to look at it. It's impossible not to look at it because we have realized that pretty much everything in the JP version is just being copied over to us and given to us translated. Sometimes even poorly translated. So we already knew what we were going to get in multiplayer. I mean, we knew what was going to happen. We had already seen it. We already knew what was coming in for us in the game. I understand that Square Enix's idea of giving us multiplayer was giving it to us for our anniversary. That was the anniversary gift. That was the anniversary event. It was the introduction of multiplayer. But it was very difficult to find joy in it because of the fact that we had just seen the JP version anniversary, and then right after that they got multiplayer. So it was almost like they got like a double heaping scoop of awesome. And we got something pretty awesome. We got multiplayer. We got the update. But it was marketed and presented incorrectly, I feel. For me personally, looking at multiplayer and looking at it after, I can see and I can agree how some people have said, you know, we could have been waiting. We could have been waiting for multiplayer and for the trade system for another 5 months or more. If they would have continued, and see, that's something that a lot of people, we don't really talk about, but if Square Enix would have continued their timeline that we have had for so long, then we wouldn't have gotten multiplayer, and we wouldn't have gotten the trade system and all this until 5 or 6 months down the line, because that's how far behind we were compared to JP. But not only did they, and see, and this is where I feel they rushed some things, because not only did they rush the introduction of multiplayer for the global and for the global community, but they radically had to change some things, or I don't know if they had to, but they did change some things, like as we saw the beginning quest, the first 50 quests, how much you can get from them, the fact that guilting was lowered so drastically down, the introduction of all these banners to help new players, like I already said, the training quests, and all of these different factors that didn't line up with where we were, because as we all know, a lot of us know, the fact that Union Cross multiplayer is what's going to happen in the future. So it doesn't line up even with our current story quests. Our current story quests in our game, in global, we're not cut up to where Union Cross should be. So we're still missing there's a lot of little holes here and there, and at the same time, we're still looking over to JP and seeing what they have and thinking, well, why don't we have that? And even I've done that. I've caught myself doing it several times lately because of how much I want and need Point to Kyrie in the game. So I find myself doing that a lot right now, and thinking, like, I know a lot of people right now are talking about the EX medals and all that. I don't want that. I want Point to Kyrie. That's all I want. I just want that. I want that. And I mean, I want a lot of other things too, but that's something that is kind of like, I'm kind of obsessing about. This is not good. So I feel that in that sense, a lot of it was rushed and presented incorrectly. If we would have known, and if they would have like marketed to us, like basically saying, you know what, you guys were slated to get multiplayer, in, I don't know, September, but you know what, because it's anniversary, we're gonna give it to you guys 5 months early, or 4 months, or 3 months, or whatever, how much early. I think that would have been really awesome. I think that would have been really great, so that we could have seen, oh, you know what, we don't have to be waiting this much longer for this. Although they kind of messed it up too, because they did tell us we were going to get it, back in September and February. So, and we didn't even get it then, did we? Oh, it got pushed back too. Okay, never mind then. Just all around, it was not. Yeah, just all around. Anyway, so that's how I feel with regards to if it was rushed. I feel that they should have caught us up. They should have been working to catch us up to. Actually, yeah, catch us up to the JP version of the game long ago. The past 2 months or so, we have seen a giant leap within the power gap, but it's been mostly focused around money. The VIP quests were split into 2 weeks. We've got multiple banners over and over and over and over again, without mercy pulls that, to be able to close that power gap. So it's been it's been a very expensive attempt to close the power gap, which has left a lot of people behind. And now that we also have traits, unless, like right now, I've been doing a lot of Coliseum, and unless you have the exact right things, you kind of get yourself left behind, which is really sad. But anyway, so that's what I think about that. So first topic we talked about is what I was expecting, what we were expecting, and then if it was rushed. And then the last topic I want to talk about, in general talking, is, well, I have 3 more topics to talk about, but how I feel. Well, you know what? Let's leave it to last. Let's leave it to the end. My personal opinion on the game. We're gonna leave it to last. The next thing I want to talk about is the rewards. Now, the rewards, I feel, how can I say this nicely? I feel they're not enough. And I know a lot of people feel that way too. When we first got Union Cross, the first month we got it, and this is the third month. This is the this is the third time we've got it. Yes, this is the third one. So tonight we see well, by the time this video is out, we'll be in the fourth one. This one right now that we're in is not so terrible. The banners are not impossible to get. The avatar boards. Sorry, the avatar boards. The avatar boards are not impossible to get. I'm actually playing a decent amount of time right now, and I'm getting quite a few. I'm getting quite a few coins. Unlike the previous the previous events where it was. Which was the one? The first one, was it? That just took so long. Oh yeah, the one where, oh my goodness, where the dark side was introduced. That was crazy. That one was crazy, guys. The amount of time that one took was just absolutely ludicrous. So I kind of feel that the time that's gotten a little better. It's gotten a little better, the amount of time that it takes to be able to complete all the boards and collect all the rewards, which hopefully at the end of this video I'll be able to collect most of them. But the next thing I want to talk about is what's in the rewards, what's in the boards, in the cross boards, I guess we can call them. We are already well into Fantasia Mickey B territory and Magic Broom territory. There is no reason why we are not seeing magic brooms as a reward within the Union Cross boards. That's just something that, it doesn't make sense. Even the jewel rewards, the amount of jewels that we're able to get, it should honestly just be enough to do a pull. I mean, if you complete all the Union Cross boards, you should have just enough to do a 3,000 pull. Constantly having this weird, very small amounts that we keep getting in jewels, it's understandable, but there is no place for it. I mean, at this point in the game, at how far we are in the game, the fact that we have banners with no mercy. It should just be, here you go, well done, here's enough jewels for a pull. Even like a bonus at the end of how many jewels you got. But I do feel the rewards are lacking. For the amount of time that you are investing into this game and into Union Cross now and into multiplayer, I really feel that the rewards should be much higher. Which leads me to my next thing, which is the improvements we've seen and what I think they should improve. We have seen a big improvement in the time it takes. It doesn't take days now to get all the rewards. You can pretty much do it, in a good, long session with your party. Which also leads me to the next thing, which is the improvements that should be seen as communication within your party. Right now, like here, the only reason why we're able to kind of be on the same page, is because in our Discord right now, in our party Discord, we've been communicating. We're like, hey, who wants to do multiplayer? And we do things like that. And you can communicate to that point. It could even be to the point that if we really wanted to, and this is the last thing I want to talk about too, you could be in a voice chat with your party members to tackle the Union Cross, to tackle multiplayer. And this is the last point that I want to feel. My last question that I wrote myself to talk about was, is it boring? And you know what? When we first got Union Cross, and it was bright, shiny, and new. It was bright, shiny, and new and fun for about 40 minutes. And then it was like, this is going to be a grind. And it wasn't really like, oh my goodness, this is going to be so fun. That's for me personally. I know a lot of people out there really enjoy the multiplayer in Union Cross, and that's awesome. For me personally, and the type of gameplay that I like, or that I want to do, it really wasn't that entertaining for me in that sense. And I just the completionist in me wants to get it done. That's kind of what's fueling my last 3 or 4 hours of doing this too. And the fact that I was doing this several hours last night too. Now, what I'm going to say next may sound a little outlandish, but I would really like to see Union Cross go way above. Just go boom, you know. And the way that I think that could be accomplished is by taking advantage of the fact that we are in a party. And like I said before, like the comment that Fox said in chat, that she spent healing that entire one. Why not? I know it's very hard to give us classes, you know, we can't be warriors and healers and mages and priests or whatever, dark elves, you know, we can't really do that in this game. I mean, we could, but it would be it would be a whole new endeavor from Square Enix to make that possible. But we can face much tougher foes in this game with a much better set of organization, and all of that is possible because of the dreaded trait system. And by that, what I mean is, I honestly believe that our parties here, you could, like, Square Enix could totally implement something like a proud mode. They could totally implement a proud mode of Union Cross, of multiplayer, or a critical mode, whatever you want to call it, where we would have to have a couple of players who are going to be tanks with multiple medals that are going to have 2,000 defense or 4,000 defense, medals with extra HP and extra SP gauges, purely medals that are going to do nothing but heal the heavy hitters in the team. And you could totally do that. I mean, it could be a whole different level of intricate and fun. Now, this might not be fun for a lot of people, but for someone like me, I mean, who, you know, grew up on Dungeons and Dragons and parties like that, and, you know, loving the, you know, MMOs and MMORPGs and all that, you know, it would be extremely fun to have that kind of an interaction in the game. But the game as it is right now, it's a mobile game, and the limitations of a mobile game are very high. So it would be very hard to have, you know, we would need a better chat system, in-game chat system. We would need a whole bunch of other realm of, you know, different features within the game to make this a possibility for us. So, and that's just me dreaming. That's just me dreaming of the possibilities of the game, you know, of something else that could happen within the game. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's where they wanted to go. And when I look at the game as what the game is right now, I hopefully see the potential, you know, the potential that the game could have. But as the game is right now, as multiplayer is right now, and Union Cross is right now, it's a new feature. It's something to do, but it's not something that I get extremely excited about. Now, with the announcement that we just received of the new tweet with the adventurer and the return of event medals and the new armor, it's exciting. It's exciting to see that. And in the back of my mind, well, not in the back of my mind, right in the front of my mind, I can't help but think what's going to be in those boards. I am so excited to see what they're going to put in those boards. And like a lot of things in this game, I'm technically not jaded yet. And I'm still excited. I'm still excited to see what's going to come next, what they're going to do next, what's going to be the next reward. And I really hope that that excitement sticks around with me for a while, and that it's not just disappointment. So that's kind of how I feel about that. You know, that's kind of my 2 cents on the take on Union Cross. And I've been thinking a long time about this. I've been thinking a long time about how I wanted to present this, and that's why I wanted to do just a Let's Talk. This isn't the guide for Union Cross or anything like that. You know, I actually have one of those that I made a while back. This is just, you know, after a couple of months of actually playing this, of actually waiting till the very last day to get this done. And just how I feel, you know, I feel that traits were designed for multiplayer. But I kind of feel, like I said, with several other things that we've experienced, like the anniversary and the presentation of Union Cross and everything, that it could have been presented to us differently, so that we could have had a much higher level of excitement. And the anticipation was there. We had tons of anticipation, you know. But the presentation of it as an event or a feature of the game could have been very different. The very last thing I want to say, though, and I did almost forget to say this, is I do appreciate the fact that Union Cross, the multiplayer, isn't really behind a paywall. I sometimes, when I know that none of my party members are awake, sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll you know, finish editing a video or making a thumbnail, and I'll be like, you know what, I want to do a couple of rounds of multiplayer, and I'll just go in, and there's no one online in my party, so I just jump into, you know, the open one, and it's kind of fun to see people, you know, that you would never get to see. And I know there's been some people who have commented on the YouTube videos, and they're like, oh my goodness, I got to play a multiplayer with you last night. You know, and I kind of wish there was a better way of communicating there, because I'd love to talk with you guys. I'd love to talk with people that I can meet like that, or people who are playing like that, and they just happen to come across someone else in, like, you know, the middle of the night playing. So in that sense, you know, I do appreciate the fact that Union Cross isn't behind a paywall. You don't have to, you know, there isn't like a bonus you get or something like that for having certain medals and anything. It makes it easier to get through it if you have certain medals, of course, and to survive. But with the features of Union Cross, usually even in the middle of the night, even if there's people who don't have very high levels or very great medals, we still get through it. You know, even Darkseid. We even tackle on Darkseid and take him out sometimes. It's pretty... Whoa, did we all die? I think we all died there. Oh, we got one person left alive. It's all Valkyrie now. She's the only one alive. So yeah, I mean, there's... Thank you, Valkyrie. She saved us. She saved us all. Thank you, Valkyrie. So it does feel like there is a lot... I feel that there's a lot in Union Cross in this iteration, this feature of the game, that the developers and the creators and the story writers of this game did put some thought into it. And this is kind of like, you know, as you guys know, I like to at the very end kind of like make a little, you know, talk to Square Enix. Square Enix, you know, I love it. I love certain features of Union Cross. There's a lot of the game that that I don't agree with it, you know, or even with this iteration of the, you know, in this factor in the or feature of the game, multiplayer and Union Cross, I can tell that there's a lot behind underneath the surface, and there may be a lot of things that, you know, they could have thought, oh, you know what, wouldn't it be fun if the players could do this and this and this. But the biggest problem with all that is, if you don't tell us, we kind of don't know, you know. So that's kind of like the biggest thing I have about that. help us. Help us. Have that communication, have that education with us, so that we can know what you guys are thinking. It's a beautiful game. The medals are beautifully rendered. The graphics are amazing. The gameplay in certain parts is just amazing, and it's so much fun. And the challenges that we encounter in high score challenges and things like that. There's so much of the game that it's a huge game too, which that's a little problem too. It's getting too big. Some people are not able to even play it because it's so big now. But there's a lot of different factors in the game, and more that are coming out that are just wonderful. But if we don't know about them, and if we're not educated about the features of the game, then it kind of makes it a little hard to enjoy those features if we don't know about them or how they work exactly. So that's it. Like I said, this was going to be I don't know. It's either a DUJ2 Talks or it's a Let's Talk about Union Cross. It's probably a Let's Talk about Union Cross. It's just pretty much just how I feel about the game, about this feature of the game, multiplayer Union Cross. After having it for a couple months, I hope that it improves. I really do hope that we see major improvements in these features. I hope that we see the actual stages themselves aren't bad. I hope we continue to see the fact that we can get more coins for actually being active. I think that's a big thing that they have improved on, trying to take away the AFK factor in it, where there were people who would just log in and not really do anything. You definitely get more points now and more coins the more active you are, so the quicker you can get this done. And the rewards within the boards would just be, if we can see a definite a definite, I guess, like an uptick maybe in the level of rewards. Even if we could see, they've given 10 boards. I mean, hide 5 brooms in there. Hide 5 brooms in all the boards. It takes a massive amount of time to get all of this done. So that kind of reward would be really great. Or something I've been saying for a very long time. It would be wonderful to have in this game the random and very, very unlikely and different and small chance of getting a tier 2 medal, a tier 3 medal, even a premium medal, tier 4 or tier 5 medal, just something for completing a very difficult task. I think it would be fun. I think it would add a lot of fun to the game, and I think a lot of us would really appreciate it. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. As always, I am DUJ2. This has been Let's Talk about Union Cross, how I feel about it, and multiplayer. And I'm going to continue here. Hopefully, I'm really close. Actually, you know what? Should we collect the boards? Let's see how far I can get in the boards. Actually, I don't think you guys want to see that, do you? No, you guys don't want to see the boards. I'm just going to collect the boards after. I'm going to collect the boards after, and hopefully I have enough. Last time I checked, I had just under 37,000 coins. I hope I have enough soon. Oops, I just misclicked there. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.